with rental, with affordable housing rental credits,
Right.
39, so get down to 117. The judge didn't follow the special master. Special master, who's actually a professional planner, was overruled by the judge, who's a judge. I don't think it's fair to judges either to make them be planners, right? But that's what New Jersey has done, right? She came back with a number of 174, and I believe it also said that in the list, if you appeal, the number is going to be 347, which right down there we're going to get our reverse. It's maddening, right? You can't tell people that I'm making a decision against you because you didn't settle, and then if you appeal me, I'm going to double that number. It's bizarre. But that's what she said. We want to comply with what the master said.
I think you need to find a developer, to do the project, get it started, and at least it shows everybody else that we're working towards a solution. And identify a couple of other locations, whether it's 25 units here or 30 units there. That's what needs to be done.
William and I did that last week as well. I just need this council to get on the same page with us. Stop this politics. Just work together.
With all respect, point of order, Mayor, point of order. What you're not explaining to the public is that we have an unmet need of 584 units. If we had moved forward with putting a shovel in the ground for those 77 units, most likely we would have had to build those 77 units, and Normandy would still be allowed to build their units, because that's the system. Whether we like it or not, we have an unmet need of 584 units. 584 units. Do you understand that that's our obligation?
315 Center Street,
Okay.
근식선. 315 Center Street, 근식선. I believe Councilwoman Gloria O had a news interview with the Korean Times. As far as I understand, she stated the all Democratic councilmen and women will support Mayor Kranjak and wholly united to resolve the issue for behalf of Englewood Cliffs residents. Today, I came here and to see. Maybe I'm wrong, but it looks like Gloria O is fighting against her opponent. I don't know who her opponent is. We are here to listen to you guys remedy how we get out of these issues. Practically. Even I'm a resident, but can I ask you 6 of councilmen and women to communicate with Judge Farrington, bring the Hudson Terrace options, okay? We made a mistake, and if you give us a second chance, we will build the 87 unit on Hudson Terrace, and we will looking for other parcels to comply whatever numbers you're looking for. All we made a mistake, okay? So we need to renegotiate the number of affordable housing units. That's the key. And 347 units, none of the town in Bergen County has that number of, come on. It's all bullshit, okay? So in other words, we have 6 capable councilmen and women. Forget about the Mayor Kranjak. Mayor Kranjak has no control power. Who has a power in our borough? Councilmen and women, 6 of you. If you don't resolve these issues practically for the residents of Englewood Cliffs, all of us getting unhappy, okay? Number one, the issue is how we gonna manage this town lovable, livable for all of us and for even incoming residents in the future, okay? And another one, if our council guarantee after the 800 Hudson, the Normandy project, there won't be any other new project on Sylvan Avenue, and we will consider. But none of you can guarantee, right? Because if I'm a builder, I will use Normandy case. Why Borough of Angled Cliffs only give the opportunity to Normandy? We like to have another opportunity to build up our commercial, whatever's, okay? This is an equal opportunity. America is an equal opportunity, so we have to open the door. So first, 800 Sylvan. Next, second one, third one, fourth one. That's what we concern. Then we should end up to build a high school. But none of you can guarantee that, right? That's why we say we are very, very unhappy to see these issues going on and on and on, but nothing, resolved. So we are here. We're not here for Republican or Democratic or mayor or councilwoman. We're not interested at all. We need to resolve these issues. Recently, we have a very bad court judgment, one after one. I believe 6 of council, members, 4 are Democratic. So 4 has a decision power. Actually, Borough of Angled Cliffs, 4 of you are the power man, power woman. Please make a decision for us. Instead, you guys are arguing each other, okay? We want you resolve the issues. That's all we're looking for. That's why we are here, okay? So, for example, don't be afraid to get back to Judge Farrington and show her something, okay? Our residents is extremely unhappy, the number you're talking about. We'd rather build up 84 or 87 units first. And let's see. Let's be, realistic, okay? So, and then number 2, what I understand is, I appreciate Councilman Aversa, okay? Because you looks like a little bit quiet, calm, while your colleagues keep speaking out. You interrupt a lot of peoples. That's not the right way, okay? That's not the right way. Please, we all mature human beings. We know how to talk about it. You constantly talking. I have no personal issue with you, okay? But again, let's respect each other. Anyway, please, all my councilmen and women, resolve the issues. Show me the way. If you need our support, we will fully support you. Thank you.
There's one more fact point in the issue, and that is that in all the affordable housing that's required and mandated in New Jersey was actually built, you didn't have enough people to live in it. That's how bizarre this law has become. Yes, gentleman in the final shirt.
Eamon Mehta, 75 Roberts Road. I was here about a year ago, July 10th, and then, of course, we are here today with all the decisions. There were 2 decisions here given And I heard all these different arguments that too many to address. But we have been given two different stories. Let's say a coin has two different sides. The way I see it, because I also had filed an intervention motion in this case. The way I see this is that we have two different parties here, and the Democratic side has, of course, made accusations against you guys and you against them. And I just saw some flyers from both the sides, but I was referring to one which was sent out by the Democratic side. I think they're very misleading and specially built to confuse people. Sorry? Okay. To confuse people. I'm here only for 15 or 16 months as a resident here, but with whatever experience I have and whatever I see, I'm just going to say it my way. So what I see here is, first the Democrats guys said that they were going to oppose this 800 Sylvan project, and they won the 2 seats in 2018 or something, and then they got 5 seats in the council. So they were controlling the council as of the January 3rd. I saw some papers filed by Mr. Trotner's files. I don't remember who presented it. I think it was 800 Solon who presented them, as some of their exhibits attached to their documents in the court. And I was shocked to read that as early as November, I was just doing this right recently in the last few weeks. As early as November, Trotner's firm, who actually submitted, and I do not know who certified that document because the papers were not there as exhibits, but our counsel and Trotner firm submitted papers as a part of the discovery to the other side, and they produced into the court attached to their motion. And one of the question was, who were the people who had the most knowledge of the affordable housing here? I was surprised that did not list Joe Peruzzi. It did not list Ms. McMorrow. It did not list Russell Perino, and it did not list you, Mario Kranjak. I think at least for a year or year and a half, from what I understand, Ms. McMorrow and Russell Perino were at the planning board and were dealing with this, what we were doing as a borough from 2016 on or 2017 on, what we were doing as a borough to comply with the law. In order to win this litigation, it is very important to show what are we trying to take steps to win this litigation, to comply with the obligation of the affordable housing. I do not know exactly what steps were taken by them, but their names were not there. I also understand that they had done deposition transcripts. And of course, our friend who is back there, it did not favor them. So they did not attach, or they did not call them as witnesses in the trial. But what I found very troubling was that our borough and our genius attorneys and our subcommittee chose specifically to exclude that evidence. So when everybody says, oh, we have been cooked here with Judge Farrington by her decision, I believe it was all calculated and was put in that direction to engineer the laws specifically, because there is no proof here in the record as to what we did as a borough. I filed an Oprah request to Ms. Duffy, and which she refused. In Mr. Marinolo's opinion, that's secret, supposed to be protected, while other side, which is Fair Share and 800 Sylvan, who's fighting against us, and this committee which says that they are fighting on behalf of the people, correct? That's what they've been saying all along. Also went along with that. I wrote to you guys an email, okay? All 6 of you, and to those 3 members of the subcommittee, I will be taking some steps because I was waiting for these decisions to come in, and then I'll be doing whatever I have to do to protect my right as a private citizen. And my intervention motion also was basically opposed by these council members who are on the subcommittee and the attorneys. And they've said that there was no reason for me, which was not costing a dime to the city. But if I had participated and if I had introduced the evidence, maybe there were other things which would have come out, but then that would have been different. So is it really political reason or some other reason? I do not know. But my intervention papers were opposed by our city, by our council members, and by our attorneys. And they said they were adequately representing me. Even the judge made that finding on the date of the trial, and she said, basically rubber stamped that. And of course, 800 Sylvan doesn't want me to come and fight them. But I was really mad, so I went to one of the council meetings and said, hey, I understand about 800 Sylvan, but if I'm fighting and I'm doing it with my own time and my money, why am I being opposed? Why am I not being produced this deposition transcripts of the people who have been working for the borough as to what steps did they take so that I can understand and I can ascertain as to where we were? But of course it was opposed. I heard other people talk about this Oprah request, and I heard Mr. Marinello talk about, oh, it's attorney-client privilege. I understand a little bit more than attorney-client privilege, what he's talking about. There's nothing that he read which actually is an attorney-client privilege. I'm not talking about other documents about here. Please, let me finish. Okay. So over here, we have an administrator and a law clerk, the municipal clerk. 2 positions combined in one as of January 3rd, once the Democratic Council membership took place, means when they got the majority in. We have the attorneys hired by them, and then we got Albert Wunsch brought in, who has no affordable housing experience. But he was brought in as a gatekeeper to make sure that these people control the litigation in the manner they want to. And that's why our mayor, whom I did not even know until I came here, okay, I now know him for whatever reasons, mayor and Mr. Wu were basically completely taken out from what I see. And I know we have heard and we have spoken and we have talked about this decision. The way I see the decision, there are lots of flaws in the decision. And of course, the next thing around, after the decision was lost, Mr. Aversa and Gloria O put a flyer out that basically it's a very flawed decision and we are going to take an appeal. Once I'm done, I would like to ask them to explain to the people what was flawed in that decision, if they can explain us. That's one. Number 2, I also saw in Judge Farrington's decision that the mayor is opposed to this, building affordable housing. From what I have seen on July 10th meeting and other council meetings, number 1, the people, since we do have a press here, people were not opposed to building affordable housing here. Okay? Of course, the press is not going to repeat that because it's always one-sided story, and that's why Trump, now I understand why Trump says fake news. Okay? I never understood that until I was here and I started reading in the paper, which is fake news, right? So Ms. Farrington said that the mayor is opposed. And the people were opposed because that's what these guys from Normandy said. Oh, we have this tape, and they produce all that. When Normandy does their own strategic meetings, do they really allow us to go there and listen to them to see how they are going to screw us? No. I just don't understand, just because we have an open public, act or whatever, that while we're discussing which impacts us, that we have to have our enemy here listening, taping to us, and using it against us. But maybe that's the law. So Farrington was completely wrong. I'm just saying one of the factual findings which she made, that, that mayor has been opposed to this. What I've heard and what I heard the whole town to say was, we're ready to build the affordable housing, what our obligation was. Next thing, Judge Farrington did not grant the town's motion for RDP to separate bifurcate the trial, first decide what our housing obligation was, and then proceed with this thing. I suspect she didn't do it because she really did not want the town to build it. All she was scared was, hey, allow basically Normandy to build on their 800 Sylvan. Now, for her, she wanted both the trials together. But now what I see is two different decisions. One decision given in December for RDP, which is how many units we need to build. What I see in those that decision is, since you guys are bad and you didn't settle, and since you chose your right to basically try this constitutional right, I'm going to punish you and I'm going to give you more units. And if you dare to take an appeal, I'm going to triple the punishment or whatever. That's what she's saying. I am kind of really surprised that this should be coming from a judge. I have never seen anything like this in my life. Okay? Maybe that's why that judge was brought out of retirement, to basically punish this town. What I see in this town is, maybe we are being singled out because we are 55% Asians here today, 56% between the Koreans, Chinese, and Indians, and it's not the regular, white boys club town. So make them an example, okay? That's the other part. I also said that I was not going to be adequately represented. She made the finding in a decision, and I said our experts were bad. Here, I'm just going to read you one line from her decision. Page 26. Although the court accepted Mr. Mistretas as an expert in planning, his testimony demonstrated a lack of working knowledge of the relevant statutes, code, and case law. His credentials and experience are far overshadowed by the credentials experience of the two other experts whose testimony was heard by the court. So that was one of my arguments why I needed to represent myself and basically hire my own experts and own people, because I was saying they were not proper, they were not fit to do this trial, they were not representing all our reasons or arguments. And she said, no, you're going to be represented fine. And the same judge is using that. Number two, that's another reason. She granted the town the right to purchase the land in October of, I forget the year, 2018 or whatever. The town did buy that land, okay? She approved the funds, and normally the judges only approve such expenditure, especially when you're using trust money, is when they are kind of approving the concept. If they were not approving the concept of those numbers or whatever, she wouldn't have approved to purchase the land. The land was purchased, and that documents were filed, and there was somewhere some acknowledgement done by the judge that it was bought. But we can talk about all the reasons which Ms. Savari wants to talk about today, that, we didn't start because this. No, had we started, we would have taken away one more reason from her to use this. Now, we all say how wonderful the town was because nothing was ever built here. I heard the gentleman talk about it. But 219 units over here have been given for the non-compliance before, okay, in the so-called Peruzzi's time. Maybe they did a great job for the town, yes, but the judge is using that today as, so it's not Democratic, it's not Republican, but she is using that reason today and wants to punish us. So essentially the way I see it is that she wants to punish the children for the father's sin, okay? Because whatever was done by the previous administration, who is not even around, who have passed away, and of course, whether they did good or bad for the town, that's a different issue. It means, I'm not saying they did bad or whatever, but should we really get punished? Okay? And now I'm going to finish it in 1 minute. And so the last thing here is, right now when everybody talks about it, we've spent over $2.5 million until November, December. We're probably going to spend over $4 million, basically just to lose this, further this thing. And, oh, we are in litigation. The litigation is over. She delivered her final results today. Now, if you're going to take an appeal, the jurisdiction is out of our court, and it will be going to the appellate court. So I don't know what you're trying to hide by having Mr. Trotner not be here, but there's no reason. As far as this litigation is over, it is over as of today in the morning when she delivered that result. Okay? So, and so while I see, hey, Mr. Kranjak, you said 800, stop 800 Sylvan, you deliver it. We want you to deliver stop 800 Sylvan to us, but we are not going to allow you to hire any attorneys. We control the payment to the attorneys. I want everybody to understand, 4 council members of Democratic here, basically until they approve the checks, they can't be paid. So obviously, all the attorneys and everybody is going to listen to these 4 people over here because they are the gatekeepers. Along with Ms. Duffy, they control, and Mr. Marinello and Albert Wunsch, they control effectively. Our mayor is only rubber stamp until he gets one more person or until authority goes to him. So let's understand where really the chips should fall.
Well, actually, when I'm up here, I forget to state some facts, and I'm glad the resident mentioned what really is salient fact, and that is that we were supposed to be given a number of units by the court. Okay? That's the conventional way of doing it. And then we were supposed to have an opportunity to satisfy that.
But then she couldn't deliver the result.
But if you don't have the number in the first place, you can't comply with the number you don't have. So she gained us, and in Latin it's nemo da qua non habet, right? You can't give what you don't have. We don't have a number, so we can't give you that number. It's gonna get appealed. We will prevail. We will build our own.
Hello?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Mrs. Clark, you want to go before me?
Thank you.
No, I selected him.
Right, but he actually gave it to me.
I'm a gentleman, I'm giving,
Thank
I'll be
you.
next.
I didn't see you, Joe.
That's funny. That's funny to you. Great. Okay, well, I just want to say that I'm very, I'm sorry? Oh, that's right, I'm sorry. Ellen Park, 116 Pershing Road. I'm glad that everybody's out tonight. I just wanted to, I came also hoping that we were going to maybe discuss a resolution to our problem, but yet again, it's 10 o'clock, and all we discuss is